So on my way up here, I was watching Dana White on the Flagrant podcast. I'm not sure if it's called Flagrant Foul or just Flagrant, but obviously that Schultz guy with his Indian co-host Akish Singh or something like that. Well, anyways, Dana White was there. A couple of things that I thought was really important to sort of bring up to this video, by the way, while you check out the lovely background of Hollywood, California behind you, which, by the way, sort of relates to this whole entire story that I'm about to tell you, right? How many of you would stand up for your friends or so-called true homies if, let's say, they got thrown under the bus, and let's say if it dealt with your particular career? Now, don't mind the noise in the background. I'm watching the UFC card right now. I believe it's UFC Louisville that is being headlined by Jared Cannonier and Imavov. So I'm currently watching that right now while I am giving you guys a play-by-play and a little reaction to Dana White's Flagrant Foul podcast, because I think there's a lot of moral stories that we can sort of draw from that particular podcast. And in particular, obviously, the Joe Rogan situation where the UFC was threatening to push Joe Rogan out of the company, quite frankly, because, let's just be honest, he's dangerous for the modern woke culture that is going on right now of people that are hypersensitive, people that want to cancel other people. And then on top of that, you also got to understand there is also a growing sentiment of that being quite annoying, and not only annoying, but really a lot of people are sort of changing a different path of course into that, which is what they do in every generation. Obviously, the woke culture came from a generation of, let's say, in the 90s and 2000s, where their response to an overall culture of, let's say, hyper-aggressiveness and, let's say, what you would probably deem as toxic masculinity to a certain extent. Well, that is literally the response from the woke culture to that, and as a result, you got people like Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, and among others of different contrasting controversial views that are sort of put in that type of category. And not only that, really their entire livelihood, their jobs, their YouTube channels, everything that sort of corresponds to that type of trajectory, I think is in trouble for a lot of these people. Now, going back to the topic at hand, right? How many of you would go out of your limb to help a friend? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a little bit easier for Dana White to do this, because if, let's say, you are in a working environment with a very good friend of yours, and they do certain minor infractions or maybe major infractions in their work, right? And you have to put them under a bus, or it's either your promotion or perhaps maybe something that could be detrimental to your overall career. Nonetheless, this is something you got to understand, right? What you got to understand is that Dana White, even though you can argue and say that he has the money, he has the financial backing to afford to be able to do these things, I think even if he was not in that position, is it safe to say that he would do the same thing? Now, I'm not going to pretend like I don't know, but what I will say is, out of the whole entire podcast that I was listening to with Dana White, the one thing that really caught my attention the most is that particular story with him saying to the UFC, you know what? If you want to throw Joe Rogan out, I'm out too. Now, why does that stand out to me the most? The reason why that stands out to me the most, for one, the Whitey Bulger story with Dana White, right? This has already been said plenty of times. Any biography with Dana White, I swear to you, the Whitey Bulger is in the story. How he got into the UFC, how he started the UFC, how he was in a $40 million debt when they bought the company for $2 million and now rising into the $13 billion net worth mark, right? So all of these things have been said plenty of times already. They've been said in different documentaries over the years. They've been done by different people from around the world covering the same story. But I don't think a lot of people really understand the dynamic of Dana White's personality based on his decision of backing Joe Rogan, even when it could have been detrimental to his career. And by the way, it's not like he needed the job in the first place. Let's just be honest. Dana White doesn't need to work for the rest of his life. However, he loves his job. And quite frankly, let me show you guys a ghetto chopper right there. As they say, the LAPD helicopter right there, probably going to Compton or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Just scoping out some dudes or whatever. But anyways, not to digress. Not to digress in any kind of way. Let me just say this, right? I think that Dana White was really on the verge of losing a particular job that he really loved. As a result of that, I think that was one thing that I think was really fulfilling in his life beyond the money. So in other words, just because he's set on money, it doesn't mean that he is set on his fulfillment. And that is the one thing that he was going to lose if he decided to go and back Joe Rogan, but only for him to go out and basically win this whole entire exchange. So the moral of this whole entire story is this: never compromise your beliefs, never compromise your friendships for a career, for a job, for the bag, for whatever it's worth. Because by the end of it all, when you lose all your money, or at some point you lose that dream job of yours, all you have by the end of it all is just your word and, well, you know the rest, right? You've heard it in the Scarface movie. All I got in life is my words and my you know what. And if you don't have that, then you have nothing. Because money comes and goes, but one thing will never leave is integrity. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Do the right thing. Do what is the high integrity move, and that is to like and subscribe to this channel while I drop some more content for you in the future, inshallah.